Okay, we are doing a collective message. We're asking, like, what is the message that wants to come forward for us today? What's important for us to know right now? What is important for us to know right now? What is the message that wants to come forward right now? That wants to be seen right now? So we have the King of Pentacles. He's kind of been showing up a lot. King of Pentacles, Six of Cups. Lots of reds and oranges going on in those two cards. But what is the collective message? What's the message that wants to come through right now? Six of Wands. Okay. We have the King of Pentacles, Six of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, and Six of Wands. So definitely got some nice pentacles showing up here. Yeah. Okay, so give me a second as I feel into this and get the message for the collective. Yeah, I mean, I do really feel that there is this push right now. And I do feel like it is definitely a new consciousness that is showing up for us. I think that the consciousness that is really dying away, and I think this began after COVID, is really about, sorry about that, is really about really like recognizing our roles in the world. I really believe that that's what happened after COVID, that we really became a lot more aware of this this program that we've been under as far as like working and, you know, kind of slaving away at a job that really, you know, might be benefiting somebody else. Possibly it benefits us in the way that, you know, we feel like we're contributing to something bigger. But for the most part, I think that we feel like we're part of these systems that don't really provide any real value for us, except to provide a standard, you know, of living, right? In order to just to kind of get by. So I think a good way to look at that is like, in Hawaii, we had a system of plantation workers, right? And so plantation workers would come from the different countries. And that's why Hawaii is such a melting pot. People would come from China, you know, Japan, the Philippines, and they would come as these workers on the plantation. And so they would work on the plantation and they would be given a wage and they would go and live in their plantation homes. And the wage that they were given to work, they would use at the plantation stores to buy the food that was provided by the plantation, to pay for the housing that was provided by the plantation. And, you know, so basically they were working for free, if you think about it, right? Because all of that money that they were earning working in the fields was actually being recycled back to the plantation owners, because the money that was made was, you know, used to buy food and for housing, you know, for you know, that came from the plantation. And so they basically end up with very, very little discretionary income. I mean, plantation workers were not well off by any means. So, you know, maybe these situations were better than where they came from, because maybe the homes that they lived in were, you know, like better equipped than the homes that they had been living in, you know, in their country previous to coming to Hawaii. You know, I don't know. So maybe there has been some upgrade in living, but ultimately, when you think about it, it was still all just recycled back to the owner. There was no way to really get ahead, right? So you hit this level that at first it might have been better, but then afterwards it was just, you know, it was what it was, right? There is no getting out of it. And so really I feel like the message that is coming through right now is a message of being in a position of the King of Pentacles. And I am really feeling this as freedom, right? Like this guy, he's sitting here in his library, right? Who has a library? Who can sit around and take the time and lounge and read and just be really slow and content and with their living. And so that's kind of like what I'm feeling right here. And I'm saying that this new consciousness that is present for us, it is a way to shift reality, right? When we think about manifestation, it always happens as an idea or a thought prior to manifesting into its physical form. And so when we think of that on a collective level, what are the collective thoughts that we have been engaging in that have kept us in a certain physical state? And so as a collective, we can really change our consciousness, change our thoughts and our ideas and our beliefs about what it means to be living, what it means to be alive. And I feel, especially, I am a Taurus and Uranus is in Taurus. So, to me, it's about freedom. It's about, I'm a sovereign being. I don't, really, I'm grateful to live in America, but at the same time, I'm a citizen of the world, and no government or no country has any kind of ruling over my being. Nobody gets to say how I live my life, right? And I feel like we're in a time of that consciousness where we're really making our own decisions about what it means to be alive, what it means to be free. We're defining life on our terms. And I really feel like that's what the King of Pentacles is saying here. So I do also feel like there is a lot of, well, what does that mean? Because we've been caught in this programming for so long, right? This, what I call modern day slavery. We've been caught in this programming for so long, and our thoughts have been given to us for so long through media, through whatever, through society, through schooling, education, through dynamics with corporations. And so this, I feel the Six of Cups is like, really, it's important, right? If you're looking for what it means to you to be alive, is go back to your childhood. Go back to that time when you were really uncorrupted by, the programming of others or outside forces, to that time when you were of, this really just pure essence of childhood, right? This innocence. And what were the things that came to you during those times, was it art, right? Were you actually, as a child, very, drawn to creating art, was it writing, right? Writing is also a form of art, but, was it, were you interested in motorcycles? And that was your thing when you were a kid, and it doesn't mean that, okay, you have to go work on motorcycles now, but maybe it means that you were interested, it fascinated you, it intrigued you, the idea of how motors worked, or it intrigued you about, exploring the country on two wheels, or those kinds of things, right? So really going back to thinking about that, your purity of childhood, the innocence of childhood, and the things that felt like they were important to you before your being was corrupted with modern day slavery. Okay, so really go back to those things. And then, it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. I think we've also been programmed to be in a place of real immediate gratification. Like we're thinking, we want to know the answer to something, we Google it, or we ask ChatGPT and we get instant answers. And so we've really been conditioned to believe that, or to want instant gratification. And it's not the way. It's really not the way, especially when you're working towards something that you love and that you're building. Instant gratification is not going to be the way that you achieve it. It's actually a much slower process. Okay, so when you think about what it is that defines your life, that makes you feel free, and what you want to do in your life, just know that it's going to take building. It's a process of creation. It's a process of unfolding. It's not magic in the sense of you can snap your fingers and it automatically appears in front of you, but it is magic in the sense of if you believe it, you can create it. Like I just had a thought of that movie, the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And that's absolutely true. If you hold the ideas of believing in a different way of being, and you change your thinking, your thought processes, your beliefs to really support that new way of being, it will come for you. It will come for you. That's how manifestation works. So, but then you also have to take action, right? You have to take the action on those thoughts, but those thoughts are what bring in different opportunities for you, and then you have to take action on those opportunities, okay, in order to pull the energy down from the ethers, right? That 0 point energy of the Fool, where anything is possible. You pull those energies down and you take action on them in order to materialize them into this physical world, okay? And you will be successful at it, but it does take patience, right? And also in this particular deck, the Knight of Pentacles, I always feel like he's a farmer. I feel like this pentacle he's wearing on his back reminds me of like those hats that you'll see in Vietnam where they are, working out in the fields, they're planting rice or whatever it is, and they have these big hats that they wear. But he is definitely in a field, and I feel like he's dropping all of these seeds behind them. And, of course, nature is a perfect example. If you're an observer of nature, nature will show you all the rules. Nature will show you how the world works. And everything that you can find in nature is applicable to our life as well, because we are nature. We're part of nature. Okay. So these seeds that you plant, they're not gonna just sprout the second you plant them. You have to water them, you have to nurture them, you have to, make sure they're having sunlight. So you have to provide all of the right ingredients for this growth. And one of the right ingredients really is patience, right? But if you can be in that patience, then you can really create something for yourself. You can grow something for yourself, and you will be victorious. Now, don't forget the Six of Wands. It is a card of victory, but it is still also a card of action, because wands are the element of fire, and fire is the element of passion and action. Okay, so to wrap it all up, this new place that you want to be in, this new way that you want to define your life, not as, a modern day slave working for scraps, not having the freedom of your own, choices and actions, right? Like we get up and go to work every day because we have to make that money. But if you want that freedom of like, you get up and go to work because you want to, right? You're doing something that you want to do, that you feel is contributing for the greater good of the world, not just for yourself, but the greater good of the world. Like you can be in that space, but it requires a shift in consciousness. And when you shift your consciousness into creation, right? Creating something for the greater good of the world, including yourself, that becomes part of the collective consciousness, the zeitgeist. And it not only drives you, but it inspires others. It drives others. So this is important for us to do on an individual level for ourselves, because it is an energy that is uplifted into the consciousness. Okay. And if you are patient and you work at it and you put in the right ingredients, you're going to be successful. Okay. But patience is key here. All right. Okay. Let's do this. Let's create a different world. Let's create something where, we're no longer slaves to the system of, corporate or governmental control. We're sovereign beings. We are beings of earth. Okay. Alrighty. Good luck in your adventures. I'm rooting for you. I'm also counting on you, and I'm going to do my part too. All right. Aloha.